I used to work in USA. I worked in the Bay Area for almost 10, 12 years. But somewhere in the middle, in the back of your mind, when you are out there, you say, God, I think I need to do something big, or I need to do something different, right? Everybody has their own Mount Everest. And my Mount Everest was sort of emotional. I was born and brought up in Ahmedabad, India. And Ahmedabad never has been known as a technology company. There is no high tech here, right? It's all historically textile based, and then a lot of pharma and all of that, but nothing to do with the electronics, nothing to do with the software and all of that. So somewhere internal, innate desire was that my chosen profession is electronics, software, computers. Why can't we do something in Ahmedabad? Because there is plenty of raw talent all over India, right? Sure, it's going to be a tough journey, it's going to be rough, but why can't it be done? And my wife always tells me that I'm one of the most stupid guys in the world because I always did, I ended up doing the things which are much harder to do. But I think that's where the satisfaction is also the highest, right? If you do the toughest things. You probably remember the impossible challenge that you had in your life and you overcame. So one day I decided that this is it, I'm going to go back to India and do something in India, and especially in Ahmedabad where there is nothing. There were several reasons. One was emotional, family ties and all of that. Second is that my value add to the earth can probably more in India than in USA, right? I'm one of the 10,000, 100,000 engineers in USA, cog in the wheel. If I go to India and do something, maybe it will generate some economic activity. It can also create something in society from nothing, right? And that was the sponsoring thought, if you will. That was the reason why I moved back to India. And it was a huge risk, right? Because when you come back here, you don't know whether you're going to succeed or not. And by the way, I'm an old duffer, so by the time I moved back, that was 30 years ago. Around in 94 time frame, liberalization had happened in India. People were talking about the software exports. That was a Y2K thing was going to happen. And you probably were in the chaddis, in shorts in your school. There were reports of big opportunities in the software, right? And so I looked at the Y2K reports. I said, software export looks interesting. We should get into that. I should get into that. And the reason was also fairly straightforward. Service business doesn't require a lot of capital expenditure, right? Having said that, your assets walk out and walk in every day. So you have to believe in people and you have to take big risks on people, right? Mentally you have to be ready to do that. Only then you can do that. Start up in the software and services and all of that. For which I was ready because some of my employees tell me that I have a Atma of a teacher, that I love professing and teaching and coaching and mentoring and all of that. They hate it when they are getting it, but 5 years down the road, they absolutely love it, saying that, we were not listening to you at that time. 5 years down the road, after experiencing 10 years down the road, right? We understand what you are saying and it stays with us. So after acquisition, a very interesting story, short story. I go to California and Bay Area and USA about 5-6 times a year. So we call them chipmates. All the InfoChips employees are called chipmates. So chipmates are the ex-employees, right? They still keep in touch. So there are about 100 of them in the Bay Area. So they all decided to get together and invited me. And they told me the stories one after another. The common theme was this, that you beat us up when we were there. And we love you for that, because what you taught us, nobody can taught us. And there are whole videos on that, but that's satisfying. That's immensely satisfying. But that was the reason I came back and started this company. I think entrepreneurs does have that common streak of being a rebellion and politically incorrect in a certain sense, being black and white to a certain degree. But then over a period of time, I think people learn.